Kebbi State, known as the land of equity, is home to about 6 million people. With the emergence of Governor Nasir Idris as the executive governor of the state from the 2023 election, many were excited at the development to come. Now, over a year after, various constructions from the upgrade of about 300 kilometers of rural roads, the construction and rehabilitation of mosques, and the upgrading of about 120 schools across the state, Governor Nasir Idris seems to be on the right track to improving the lives of residents. Well, joining us in our Abuja studio is the Commissioner for Information and Agriculture, Kebbi State, Honorable Yakubu Ahmed. Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Now, in December 2023, the governor signed about 250.1 billion naira into law as for the 2024 budget, prioritizing health, education, infrastructure. Talk to us how much has been done with regards to that and how equitably distributed has this been?
Well, once again, thank you for having me. To understand the unprecedented infrastructural development which the Dr. Nasir Idris administration has brought to Kebbi State in the last 1 year, it is important we look back as to where Kebbi was prior to the assumption of office of this development-driven governor. Kebbi has, before the advent of this administration, of course, been variously described as Nigeria's most underdeveloped state. And Birnin, Kebbi, the state capital, was known then as a glorified local government headquarters on account of complete absence of the key infrastructure to drive the economy of the state, to give it the necessary facelift, to turn it into a state capital in the real south of the world, to enhance movement of goods and services, to improve commerce and trade, and to generally impact positively on the lives of the people of the state. By the time the governor, Dr. Nasir Idris, assumed the office, we had experienced, since Kebbi was created in 1991, a near absolute decay in infrastructure. In some cases, the total absence of them. When he came over, in fact, during his electioneering campaigns, he made some promises. And today, 1 year on, he has virtually fulfilled all the promises. If you take them one by one, Kebbi, Birnin Kebbi in particular, was never a state capital in the real sense of it. All the infrastructure needed to make a state capital, a true state capital, were completely non-available, absent. The road network in the state capital and elsewhere was nothing to write home about. We lacked the necessary leaders, the leaders with the requisite leadership capacity, the courage, the presence of mind, the political will to bring about this development. I will start with the state secretariat complex that is about to be completed, about 95, 96% completed already. This government inherited that state secretariat complex. It started in 2012 during the Gari administration. It suffered abandonment and postponement in completion variously until the last administration. One of the key promises the governor made was to complete the administration on assumption of office. It was started, when it started, it was to cost about 3.7 billion naira or thereabout. But because of the review, it suffered, rightly so, of course. It, at the end, by the time this administration came on board, it has reached almost to 21 billion naira required to complete it. When the governor came, he asked the contractors then, the original contractors, to give an estimate of what would be required to finish it. and they gave a bill of 21 billion naira. The governor flatly rejected that, and he looked inward. He invited bids from local contractors. We have a number of them that have proved to be capable nationwide, and he asked them two of them that won the bids to make presentation. From 21 billion naira that the governor rejected, it came to about 10 billion naira, and he quickly approved it. And today, I tell you, if you look at the secretariat, it's about to be completed. One of the best in the country. We have a workforce of 22,100, and most of our ministries are scattered about town. The intention of the governor, being a civil servant himself, a teacher all his life, a unionist, an activist, he prioritized finishing the secretariat in order to accommodate the whole workforce of Kebbi State and give it the beauty, the facility required by state capital. It's about to be completed, and you need to take a look at it. Inshallah, the president is coming to commission it and other projects. On education as well, we met a state that was grappling with inadequate infrastructure, classrooms, instructional materials, qualified teachers. It was entirely at its lowest ebb. Being a teacher himself, and having worked in all the 21 local government areas in his history of engagement as a civil servant, as a teacher, he understood the problems of the people of the state. Let me make this very clear. Dr. Nasir Idris Orongondu was the only governor in Kebbi State that was rooted in the calculus of the state. He was born, bred, and buttered in Birnin, Kebbi. He knew the state very well. He had lived with the people. He has been part and parcel. Whatever happened to the people, he was part and parcel of bearing it. If it was for good, he enjoyed it with them. If it was for bad, everybody was there too.
All right, Commissioner.
He has a history of compassion. Hello?
All right, Commissioner. I'm going to take you up on, what you said earlier about, the workforce in that state as regards productivity. We're having the conversation of the minimum wage, and these are the other factors that are being considered. But more recently is the construction of the Ahmed-bk Airport, which the federal government just took over. I understand that the reps paid a visit to that state. How much of progress have you recorded since February when the airport started operations?
When the airport stopped operation?
Yes, absolutely.
Come again?
I'm talking to you about the airport. You can go ahead.
I understand. Okay. The airport has never stopped any, since this administration came about. Of course, there were some stoppage at one point in time, but we dealt with the problem, and since the resumption of flights, it has never stopped. In fact, the airlift of Hajj pilgrims this year, last year, we had to go to Sokoto Airport to airlift pilgrims. This year, the entire pilgrimage airlift started in Kebbi, the national one, started in Kebbi. And it started in Kebbi because we had the airport, we had the prerequisite items required for an airport to be able to airlift pilgrims. Since then, the airport is functioning. One of the best in the country, honestly. And the takeover by the federal government, I think it's not the only airport that has been taken over by the federal government. There are other airports. And it's for the good of the state, for the federal government to take it over in order to enhance its operation, in order to continue to keep it going. It has never suffered any stoppage. When I was coming to this interview from Birnin Kebbi, I took off from the Ahmed-bk International Airport in Birnin Kebbi. So it's well and good for us, of course.
Interesting. I asked a question earlier that you're yet to address, and I would like to advise that we stick quick, so that because of the limited time we have, you hit the issues head on, so that we can make judicious use of our time.
Okay, I've been talking about infrastructure. I've been talking.
Yes, and how equitably distributed this infrastructure to the people? How much of it is making as much impact as
okay, let me go straight to that. About the road infrastructure that I'm supposed to have spoken about. Already, we have gone through the construction of 15 kilometers of roads in Birnin, Kebbi, the state capital. That has already been completed. We are building 5 kilometers of road in Argungu already, and in Yauri already. It's halfway into completion. We are starting building 5 kilometers of road in Argungu. In fact, the contract has been signed, I think. We are also going to Zuru to start the 5 kilometers. The idea is for the government to provide the necessary road infrastructure to drive the economy of the state. Right now, the governor is building 4 mega vocational primary schools. One in Birnin Kebbi, one in Argungu, one in Yauri, one in Zuru. They have reached advanced stages of completion. We know we have this policy of 4 emirate headquarters. Governance is done in consideration of these sensibilities. Whatever the government is doing, it is pushed not only of course, the development of the state capital is very, very important because it has suffered neglect for too long. But whatever this government is doing, it is equitably distributed to the... And don't forget, we're only 1 year old in office, just 12, 13 months in office. And what the government has achieved under the 1 year has never been achieved by any government in its entire 8 years in office. So the distribution of projects is equitable in Kebbi State. Again, we are still talking about infrastructure. You see, in Birnin Kebbi, the state capital, and these 4 emirate headquarters, there was that dire need of roads because you can't develop, you can't move forward without road infrastructure. Because that is what will drive your economy, that is what will enhance trade and businesses, that is what will enhance agricultural production. At the beginning of this program, you talked about 300 rural roads, feeder roads, the governor has promised to construct. Kebbi is agrarian. We are one of the highest producers of rice in Nigeria. We have the manpower, we have the resources, we have the arable land. Constructing 300 kilometers of feeder roads is very, very vital in a state like Kebbi. You need to move farm produce from one part of from the farms to the cities and on and on. So I think the governor is doing the right thing. Don't forget, as I said earlier, he knew what Kebbi State needed. During his electioneering campaigns, he promised to do the things he's doing now. And the people of Kebbi State, including strangers, have agreed that Kebbi has gotten the right leadership now, the leadership with the quality and the capacity to bring about development to the state.
And that's a lot of progress just in 1 year. It's also important to, commend the governor at this time. But let's also focus on what you mentioned about the development and upgrade of about more than 100 schools across the state. Another issue that we may be having in the country at this time is the issue of out-of-school children. What is the state government doing as regards that, and not just upgrading these schools, but ensuring that children are taken off the streets?
The government is very serious about providing infrastructure in schools. And that has been proved by the number of schools he's building afresh, the number of schools he's rehabilitating, and the 4 vocational schools we're talking about. In each instance, when the governor is giving out contracts, he's giving it like a package. He doesn't just give contracts for the construction of schools. He asks that with provision of furniture, instructional materials, everything that is required is a total package contract he gives out. That is to tell you that he's serious about that. We are employing 2,000 qualified primary school teachers. The process has already begun, and the governor has insisted that it should be qualified, NCE aid or BA aid. And 2,000, that is to tell you that he's providing the infrastructure, he's also providing the teachers, the manpower required to impact on the education sector. About out-of-school children, I think one of the best legacies of this governor is that he has the touch, the reach with the people of the state. He has been a teacher all his life. He knew what was required. And the necessary reach out, the necessary interfacing is already on to ensure that people are sensitized. People are educated on the need to take their children to school. And while that is happening at all the levels down to the ward level, governor is providing the infrastructure so that we don't reach a point where we have intake, but we don't have the required infrastructure to accommodate them. This is just 1 year in office. We are just moving on, and I assure you in the next couple of years, in the next 2-3 years, Kebbi will turn out to be one of the best states in the country in terms of infrastructure, in terms of educational development, in terms of food production, in terms of security, whatever it is, we're going to, because we have a governor that has the courage and proven to be able to provide what is required to move Kebbi State forward.
I like the fact that you mentioned the matter of food production, and just recently, farmers were given fertilizers so that they can, get back to the farms and work. You know that Nigeria at this point is facing a food crisis. Talk to us about how the government, the plan put in place by the government to ensure that we get some food out of Kebbi State, for instance.
At various stages in the course of this government that started 1 year ago, the governor has dished out support for farmers in such a manner that has never been done before. He has given fertilizer free of charge to farmers. He has also provided solar-powered pumps to more than 6,000 rice farmers. Already we are talking about giving out another 6,000 to another group of farmers across the state. He has provided incentives. In fact, he knew that Kebbi has about the greatest potential to provide the food, especially rice, required to feed this country. We have the capacity, River Niger crisscross into Kebbi by over 100 kilometers, River Rima by about 250 kilometers, River Ka by snakes into Kebbi by about 250 kilometers as well. So we have the capacity, we have the water sources, we have the manpower. And what all that is required is for government, the leadership. But here, we are talking about feeding the nation. We have the land, we have the men, we have the right governor. If the federal government can come in a very big way, I tell you, we'll have the capacity to feed this country.
In what ways are you expecting the federal government to come in?
Yeah, in the past, there was this Uncle Borrowers program. It did not click as we had expected in the past before the advent of this government. But I think there are many ways government can come in. It is very important because we are talking about the future capacity, food security of this country. You have a state that has all it takes to provide what is required in this country. The federal government should come in, team over the state government, and ensure that the right thing is done. I mean, it needs just planning. We need to sit down properly and look at how to come in what manner to come in with the kind of resources required. In 2-3 years, I tell you, we will reduce the burden that is on government to either import rice into the country or any other food item. So I think the federal government knew what should be done. It's just a matter of planning, coming in, teaming with the government, and coming up with the policy required to ensure that we produce the rice or the food we eat in this country.
And while we were talking about, the major development in the area of infrastructure, it's also important for us to, highlight some of the plans that the state government is making as regards ensuring, more security in the state. The safety of this infrastructure is very dependent on how secure the state is. So talk to us about the progress made as regards security.
Let me tell you something about security in Kebbi State. When this government came on 1 year ago, before then, the southern part of Kebbi State has always been the center of flashpoints of attacks by bandits coming in from Zamfara, neighboring Zamfara and Niger states. we had like everyday occurrence, every week occurrence. Civilians were killed, security officers were killed, farmers were stopped from going to their farms. When this governor came on board, he changed strategies, interface with military and other security commands, and came up with a strategy that made the deployment, strategic deployments on those axes we're talking about. And today, the attacks completely have stopped. All our farmers have gone back to their farms. In fact, farmers from those neighboring states of Zamfara and Niger have already moved on to the side of Kebbi, and we're having a whole year full of farming activities. What I'm trying to say is that we now have the necessary security in the whole of Kebbi State. There is no single land that is under the control of any bandit. In fact, Kebbi has never been a place where bandits have cells. They only come in from Zamfara and Niger, perpetrate their atrocities, and rush back. Now that has been stopped. Kebbi is 100% secured. This governor has ensured that farmers are back to their farms, and with good rains now, we expect a bumper harvest, and that will be impactful on the food security of this country. The provision of security has been topmost priority for this government, and the necessary steps have been taken, and we are as free as it can be.
Interesting. You will agree with me that the workers of the state are also part of the structure in the state. They make things happen. And this conversation around minimum wage, just to touch on it, let's perhaps Nigerians know what the plans of the state governors is with regards to the minimum wage, willing to pay 70,000 naira. That's the conversation that is going on now, and the president has given a nod to 70,000 naira. Where does Kebbi State stand with regards to this?
Even before this decision was reached at the federal level, the governor has assured civil servants at various fora. He has spoken to the workers directly. He has granted interviews, has spoken personally as a labor leader who has fought pro-workers issues in the past. He was once chairman of NUT, deputy president of NLC. He has promised that whatever is agreed at the federal government level, he's going to implement it in Kebbi. And he has given assurance, and his promises have always been his bond. In Kebbi State, we have no problem towing the line the federal government has taken. He has promised that, and whatever he promises, he has always fulfilled. So in Kebbi State, we have no problem with that.
And still on this minimum wage conversation, they have been raising the issue of how efficient and productive the average, civil servant is as regards, doing their duty. So talk to us about how productive the average civil servant in Kebbi is, and also the issue of IGR, what the state government itself is doing as regards ensuring and boosting the generated revenue in the state.
The issue of productivity of civil servants is a nationwide phenomenon. In each state, we tend to have similar issues. Civil servants are as productive as the environment allows them. In Kebbi State, I would like to assure you, Kebbi has always been very peaceful in terms of labor-government relations, of course, and it's as a result of the fact that everybody is doing his level best to deliver. I think in terms of productivity, civil servants in Kebbi have been very productive. They have been going to their offices, working to ensure that, and team up with the government to ensure that they deliver on their schedules. In terms of IGR, of course, Kebbi is one of the least. It used to be one of the least, and I'm sure it is still one of the least in terms of internally generated revenue. But steps are being taken. We have a number of rice mills in Birnin Kebbi, in Kebbi State as a whole. They are still coming in from even outside the country. Investors are making inquiries. Many other rice mills have been established in Kebbi as we are speaking now. We are also expecting other investors to come on account of the provision of infrastructure. Don't forget, we are one of the best 4 states with that have been proven to have this ease of doing business. It means ease of doing business means our workers are working very well. They are doing the right thing, and the government is making the environment friendlier. Of course, other measures have been taken to work with consultants to explore other avenues of generating money for government. And I think, and don't forget, as I always say, we're only 1 year in office. We have already moved into the second year. And I think most of the programs, most of the plans, most of the efforts government has been doing, we'll begin to implement them as we go on, and they'll begin to bear fruit as we make progress in implementing them. And I think in the next couple of weeks or months, we'll be able to talk about how much have we improved in internal generated revenue.
Absolutely. Because our time is almost up, let's quickly look at what the people of the state should then be looking forward to if in less than, or in 1 year rather, you've been able to achieve this much that you have pointed out in terms of infrastructure. What more should the people of the state expect from government, especially in the areas of primary health care, education, like we pointed out, security, and the likes?
Yeah, it's important for our people to understand. But I'm happy that everybody in Kebbi State, including strangers that have been to Kebbi, we are all agreeable that we have now the right leadership in Kebbi State. What is required is for the people to line up behind the governor, to encourage him to be as prayerful as possible, so that we continue to witness as the governor continue to implement those policies of his in terms of infrastructural development, in terms of development of all sectors of the economy. I think we have the best deal in Kebbi State. We have about the most active governor in Kebbi State ever. In fact, one of the best 3 governors in the country. What is happening in Kebbi State under our year has never happened anywhere in this country. So I think it's beginning to show from all perspectives that Kebbi State is going to be one of the best in the next 3 years. So I think it's important that we understand the need for us to team up regardless of our political differences. Now, if we are truly serious about development and growth in Kebbi State, we now have the government and the man to spearhead that journey. It is important we support. It's important we forget about politics now. It's over. It's about governance. It's about progress. If you look at states that were created in 1991 alongside Kebbi State, those states have moved forward. We are just catching up now. What the governor is doing today should have been done by other governors so that he will begin to build on them. What, for example, has been achieved in Gombe in terms of infrastructure development some 10, 15 years ago is what we are providing now. The governor is forced to start from the scratch. He is governing in anger at the missed opportunities. Now that we have the chance, I think it's important that Kebbi State, we team up, support our governor, make the progress desired in order to improve our economy, to improve our health, to improve agricultural input, yield everywhere. I think we have the best deal now. We have the best chance to develop if we are serious about it.
All right. Honorable Commissioner for Information and Culture, Kebbi State, Yakubu Ahmed, thank you so much for your time on the program.
Thank you very much for having me. I hope to be here next time again. Thank you.
All right.